Welcome back.
Hey, everybody.
Long time no chat. It's only been a couple weeks.
Oh, man, and what a couple weeks they were, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of us got to go on vacation.
That's right.
I'm not gonna say no names or point no fingers. We got to sit on beaches, eat exotic food, swim in swimming pools all day.
It's true.
I'm just saying.
It's true. But more importantly than that, we had the Dreamin in Color conference. Right, you do something, and you're like, I can't believe that this is one day.
Yeah. But man, what a show! What a show! If you did not attend, you missed an awesome event. Tiffany Spence and team put on a great event, and we're going to just kind of cover some of our thoughts of Dreamin in Color 2024 that happened down in New Orleans. So Ted, I'm going to jump to you first, man. What are your thoughts on it? Like just overall thoughts on the conference?
Well, I mean, overall, like it was great to be back. I think the conference gets better each year. It just kind of grows. More people hear about it. Tiffany and team keep learning from past events and then just keep making things better. Just when you think you can't be any better than it is, they do something new and that sort of thing. So they just had a great opening kickoff barbecue, a cookout, and so many people came. It was in a beautiful location. There was a second line that came through. It was fantastic. But for me, I think one of the first major highlights, besides just the overall improvements, was connecting in with people that I haven't seen in a while. So let's start with you. Like we met last year, as the saga and the podcast has said, at Dreamin in Color last year, and it's been an entire year that we've been talking over video, but we haven't seen each other. So to be able to see you and to meet your wife Keisha and a whole bunch of other people that I had met the last time I was there, that was a huge highlight for me. What about you?
The gang got back together, man. We were in full effect at that thing, And just to kind of echo some of the points that you made, this was my second one, and it was better than the last one because the improvements that were made by the team were pretty awesome. I really enjoyed the fact that several of the sessions, like you didn't have to be a Salesforce person to come enjoy the conference and learn from the conference. Right, because the sessions weren't all technical sessions. They weren't all Salesforce specific sessions. So even if you weren't part of the ecosystem, you could have come, learn some stuff. So that's just my plug to encourage folks for next year to come out, enjoy the conference. It's full of great people. You are going to meet somebody. Guaranteed. Like it's that type of conference. And the energy is electrifying. Man, it's easy to get swept up in it. I will say that.
100%. I took a bunch of notes on looking back at the sessions that I went to, and I purposely chose most of my sessions that were not like specific about how to do something in Salesforce or something technical. It really was just more about these other topics that are like more professional in nature and improving yourself, and that can apply to Salesforce or not. Yeah, that was really important to me. And I think that a lot of people may not know that about going to a conference like this, that there is so much out there. You don't have to be, neck deep in Salesforce world to get something out of a conference like Dreamin in Color. There's so much more to it. Yeah. Connecting with people. How many people came up to us, Jay, and had kind things to say and wanted to chat, and just we just met so many cool people. It was fantastic.
Yes. We did, and that I think that kind of plays into the energy of the conference that I was speaking about here a second ago. It's contagious. Like just as you walk past folks, they're introducing themselves, like you're engaging in conversation. It's not that weird, oh, hey, hi, and you just walk past, right? You get into an engaging guy. Hey, I'm such and such. I've been doing this with Salesforce for this company this long, and this, that, and else. You really get to know a lot of folks within the ecosystem, and man, it's awesome. But you touched on the sessions and how several of the sessions that you attended weren't very Salesforce or technical type sessions. So I'm going to toss another question over the fence to you, Ted.
Yep.
During the conference, you went to several different sessions. Which would you say was your favorite?
I really loved. Oh gosh, that's so hard to say, but I have to say one of my favorites, I'm checking my notes here, was by Elsie Miller. Elsie, she did a great introductory chat GBT and prompt builder session that I really, really liked. I've been trying to learn AI and get into it. As I had mentioned, I think earlier in a podcast, I had achieved the AI certification. And that's not an end all be all. Like, I am still like such a newbie, you know? And so to be able to have a session that was geared towards people like me that just like need to see like some easy tips and tricks and be able to kind of like just meet me where I'm at, like Elsie did it for me. And I felt that like she was so approachable, and the way that she went about her presentation, I was so glad that I saw that, because I picked up tips on how to be a good presenter and how to just kind of organize your thoughts and that sort of thing from her. So that was really, there's so many good ones. I can talk about some other ones, but if I had to pick one, I was really impressed by Elsie.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like we may need to connect with LC on that, because if it impressed Mr. Hazard, I definitely want to get the spiel now, you know?
Yeah. What about you? Which one jumped up the top for you?
Man, so I do not want, look, I'm not finna, it was a bunch of awesome sessions. Let me just throw that out there. So when I say favorite, this could be my favorite right now, may change tomorrow, right? But what comes to my mind, and my notes are downstairs, guys, so I'm just speaking off the cuff, was a session that, and I forget her last name, but her first name is Charisse.
Okay.
She had a session on, it was kind of based around project management and managing projects, and she tied it back to, was it osmosis? It was something tied to sales. Oh my goodness.
Sounds like a cool concept, like something back to.
Man, it was awesome. When I say it was awesome, I'm not even, you know, PM stuff, like you kind of do that throughout day to day, whether you're PM or you're not a PM, you play some type of role, right? And just hearing her talk about the different ways that she approaches challenges that almost every project faces, right? Like a lot of times you're working a project, you have executives come in, or you may be working and the client comes in, hey, I want this, that, and the other. And a lot in the corporate world, a lot of times you're conditioned to be like, okay, yeah, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that. And before you know it, you're over budget and you're having these crunchy conversations, right? Man, she talked about the way that she addresses that. And was, wow, it was, I mean, kind of straightforward, and kind of, he was like, man,
how does it sound that simple? How does it sound that simple coming out of her mind, right? Out of her mouth.
It was, bro, it was so good. Like,
I get that. Well, we gotta get her on. We got to get her on for sure.
Yeah. It was so good. If you recall, when we were out getting ready to go do some sightseeing, I saw her on the street. I stopped her on the street.
Oh, that was her. That was
yes. I stopped her on the street and told her, hey, look, y'all missed the greatest session at Dreamin in Color 2024. And then we engaged in conversation, and she began to cover the session, and I'm over there gushing. I'm you know,
I remember that.
So that would be my, like, if I had to pinpoint it, that would be my one, man.
Yeah.
It was that good. It impressed me that much.
Nice. So, and I mean, that's coming from like a really good panel session that Shaniqua was on. And Tony actually did, Tony Karumba, who's been on a podcast before, he did a really good training session on Lightning, dynamic Lightning pages and how to kind of take your UI to a new level. That was a really good session. And then he did another session about career choices in the development world. So there was a couple of those, and then there was a bunch of other ones, but I could see why that one would stand out.
Cool. And all those sessions that you mentioned were awesome. I went to Tony's second session and he crushed it. As a matter of fact, I took a bunch of pictures and videos that I need to connect with him to kind of share. So it was awesome. It was awesome. But hey, look, we can't downplay our session either. I think that we put on a pretty good session. When I say we, I mean Ted put on a great session. I came in towards the end, added a little bit of flair, and that was
drama. Let's call it what it is. It was drama. And so, I mean, which doesn't make any sense. How could a session at a conference be dramatic? Well, you found a way, Jay.
Man, look, I'll say a way found me. You know.
Okay. But,
that's fair. You know, folks were they came up after the session. They were like, "You guys planned that." I was like, I assure you, we did not.
It's
We
like
did
truth
not.
is stranger than fiction, right? They say that. Like, we couldn't have made that up. We're not that clever.
At all. So for those of you who didn't attend the session, I'll give you a quick rundown, right? So in episode one of the ways that Ted and I came together was around the challenge that I made for myself and accepted, at last year's Dreamin in Color in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I said, hey, not only am I going to get admin certified, but I'm going to speak at the next conference. So fast forward a year, next conference comes around. Ted and I get selected to cover JTED and the Salesforce Saga podcast, and we're on to speak. Now, that's that. So
there's one last thing to do.
Yeah, and that was that certification. And that cert was not checkmarked yet. So I had taken the cert twice before the conference. And I had failed it. Yeah, I failed it 2 times. 2 times right quick. When I say 2 times right quick, I went in. First time I was like, oh yeah, I got this. And I'm and that thing came back and said failed. I had to clutch my pearls. I was like, oh, what? So so immediately I went in for a vengeance retake. I say, ain't no way you about to beat me. I'm gonna take it again. Took it again, failed again. That's when I done my puppy dog eyes. I was like, wife. Yeah, 2 times. And the dilemma was, hey, like the conference was coming up fast. So I buckled down and went back in, studied hard, and decided to take the test roughly about an hour before our session. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, I cannot make this stuff up. So I'm taking the test, phone is to the side, hear the phone buzzing. I'm engaged in the test. You can't even move your eyeballs. Because if you move your eyeballs, the window's gonna pop up.
You're being watched. Yeah, you're being watched. Yeah.
Stop doing that or we're gonna fail you. So can't look at the phone or anything I go through. I use the entire time of the test. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at that submit button. I'm like,
pressure is on, man. Holy cow. Yeah.
This is it. This is that moment in the movie where you're getting ready to cut the red or the blue wire.
Yeah.
I hit the submit button. And it came back with a resounding pass. So did that thing, and I passed with some nice percentages across the board. So I spent about 5 minutes. Wasted about 5 minutes in the room saying, "Yes, I told you, yes." And then I finally checked my phone, and I have a wonderful.
Hey, wait a minute! I got places to be, right?
Yes, I have a wonderful text from my wife. Hey, you're late for your own session. I take off running. So I am running towards the door. People are looking at me as I fly down the hallway. And I just bust in the room as Ted is covering the part of the presentation about accountability, I believe.
Really? Was it that timing? That was perfect. I didn't realize. Yeah, so I'm up in the front of the room. So from my perspective, I knew Jay was taking the test because he couldn't go out to lunch, and so I knew something was happening, and then it dawned on me after I sent him like the 18th text that he can't look at his phone because he's taking the test and the camera is on him. So I give him a few minutes, and then it's start time, and I delay for a few minutes, and then I'm like, all right, he's got to finish the test. So I just kick in and do the practice. Now, we practiced a lot. We put this together. We morphed it into a good conversation. We even practiced in front of an audience and got feedback. So we were tight. And so the only thing that was kind of funny to me was I couldn't change like my language. So like I was just talking about like we this and we that, and like I was kept like gesturing, and then I'm like, oh, he's not here to talk about his part, so let me talk about. So, but I just kept it going. I think all that practice like really paid off. Mm-hmm. And so then I guess, like you said, like we got to that part of the presentation, and then right next to the front of the room, like next to the lectern or whatever, is the door, and boom, in comes Jay. So take it from here.
Yeah, look, door bust open. I'm breathing like I just ran a marathon, right? And everyone looks to me, and I'm like, hello, I'm here. but immediately jumped into the presentation and start covering where you had left off. Because to the point you made, we
Yep.
practiced a lot. We trialed it in front of the Portland, Maine user group, who
Yep.
also provided us some feedback. So thank you guys, because the feedback you provided was extremely helpful. So we do want to kind of
Shout out to Bezod, who really gave us a lot of good stuff too. So thank you.
And the session went well. I mean, we had a room after the session. We got a bunch.
So that's true. So that's true. Like that's what happened. But like everybody's looking at Jay like, forget about the presentation. Yeah. What happened? Like, what's the news? You know? And so, oh my gosh. And so,
And up for season 3. Definitely. We are in this thing. And I mean, the saga doesn't stop there, right? There's still goals that we have that we want to achieve. And as I mentioned, we connected with a lot of great people at the conference who are living their own sagas.
Right.
Who, you know, said, hey, you guys have a podcast. I'd love to be a guest. I'd love to come on and tell you about my story. So we're definitely going to look into that, into having some folks come on, talk about their saga, their story, some of the challenges that they faced and how they overcame those challenges. So we're definitely excited and looking forward to doing a season 3. I know I'm with it after we get some break. Like some break time, you know, so we're going to take a little break and get back into it, man.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Well, I mean, it's been fantastic. I'm so glad that, our audience has been with us, for this ride. We really accomplished a lot in 1 year. We went from going to a conference that we'd never been to before, meeting people that we hadn't met, deciding to do this podcast, and we actually did it. That was some of the feedback that I got from a friend of mine that reached out from Boston. Marty said, I think one of the things I like the most is that the fact that you guys did it. Like, it's so hard to come up with an idea and then, follow through over time, and the fact that we've done 2 seasons like this. So thank you, Marty. I really appreciate that feedback. But we did it. You got certified, which is so hard to do in and of itself, but to be new to the ecosystem and to not have a Salesforce day job, to have like that experience to rely on, and you just had to rely on your past experience and your work ethic and your studying to be able to achieve what you did. And the fact that, I think we're both proud of the fact that, Dreamin in Color means so much to us, and that Tiffany and team invited us to speak there, and that we had that experience. It was really nice to be part of that and to give back in that small way to the people that came to our sessions, because they the feedback we got was really heartfelt, and they, a lot of people liked it. So I feel good about that.
Yeah. And I will say, one of the things that got me, I mean, one of the things that kind of got me, kind of almost tear jerked me a bit, was, we had our session, and it was, I believe, Solange.
Yeah.
The podcast already.
Right.
And she stood up and said, hey, after, experiencing you guys' session and seeing what you do, you've inspired me to branch out beyond what I'm doing with my podcast and extend that out, And then she also had a heartfelt speech, like at the closing session
as well,
where she gave the podcast a shout out. And man, it was just to know that something that we started out to do, to just
that's right. It's such a good point. Like, she's such a beautiful person, and it was so nice to hear that. I mean, we somehow sparked something in her that gave her confidence to do something that she wanted to do, but didn't have a chance to like do it yet. And now she's made that commitment, and she's for some, like, we never would have planned that. How would we have had any idea that like we could have given her that little bit of extra confidence that she needed to do something that was important to her? And you're right. That's like, that's really cool and meaningful. I'm so glad that happened.
Yeah, but that one got me. And also just like being able to reconnect with Sandra too. I have to kind of call that out, because that's where we met. And we met in a session that was talking about podcasting and starting a podcast. Even though we didn't start the podcast there, that's where we met. And to be able to come back, revisit her session, and be an example to the other attendees that, hey, these guys were in my session. and they actually started a podcast. They have a podcast going, a tremendous amount of that, I will say, it can be credited to Sanja, because I don't think if we don't have that session, Ted, I don't know if we have a podcast. I don't know if that idea comes across that way, right?
No, it definitely wouldn't have. And just, I mean, she's somebody that we had planned to have on in season 2, and then it was a circumstance of things getting in our life, getting in the way, and just things happening, and so we had to postpone her. But we definitely want to have her on, and I think that's something that, although we don't have it quite booked yet, but that would be something that we'd want to do next year. So hopefully that's incentive for people to tune in next year to season 3 and hear some of the people that have inspired us, like Sonia. Yeah,
next year, Ted, we taking that long of a break or next season?
You're right. I misspoke. I meant next season. I meant. Hey, it's not like it's some of those TV shows like Game of Thrones or whatever, they take like 2.5 years off between seasons. We're not doing that.
No, we got to get 60 million views before we can take a year off.
Right. Exactly. All right, let's wrap it up. You have any parting thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, look, man, I just want to say thank you. And I kind of spoke on this during the closing ceremony, but thank you to Tiffany Spencer and her team for setting up such a wonderful event and giving me an opportunity to be a part of that, giving us an opportunity to be a part of that, because that's not something that you get to do every day. Like, folks aren't out just pulling people in to speak at conferences, especially a conference of that magnitude. So I definitely want to thank Tiffany and the team for that. A big thank you to my wife for making sure that when Jay didn't want to do Salesforce, Jay did Salesforce. So I have to definitely tip my hat to her. And also my main man, my goon, my guy, Mr. Ted Hazard, who also, once again, accountability. We talked about that during the session. Ted held me accountable on the commitment that I made. And he done it in a way of a podcast. It just so happens. But he would check on me outside of recording days. Hey, Jay, how's it going? How's life treating you? How's Salesforce going? Man, if you need me to help with anything, just let me know. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have the exact same thank yous. Like I think I want to thank you for holding me accountable and for making this happen. I mean, this has really brought me to places that I had never been to before with my career and Salesforce and my personal life. So this has been a lot of work and a big commitment. I mean, it doesn't probably come across that way, but to try to stay organized and to get together at the same time through a different time zone and just fit this in with, we're both fathers and husbands and full-time workers, and it can be a lot. So thank you for that. It's really, it's really been great. And thanks to my wife as well for being understanding and helping to make this happen, and for all the great advice, and for, I think probably the first 2 views on YouTube whenever we put this out here are Jen and Keisha. So, I mean, that support really means so much. And obviously to Tiffany and Stephen and everybody that puts the conference together. That's where it happened. So I look forward to continuing on in a few months when we get going with season 3 and bringing in some of these characters that we've met and have talked about, and hopefully even speak to some of the people that we've talked to before and see how they're doing. That'd be pretty interesting as well. So thanks everybody for a great season 2, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Jay and Ted season 2 signing off. Oh,
that's magic.
All right, cool. So, hey everybody out there in TV land. But look, so this is my second Dreamin in Color, and I'm not like part of the Salesforce ecosystem. The first one I went to was last year in North Carolina. And a question was asked about who's not in the ecosystem. So a lady at our table, she pointed, I'm him, and they called me up here. So Tiffany and I, we had kind of a dialogue, and It was two things. It was two things, right? It was two things, right? All right, just making sure it was two. One was, she said, so are you going to be certified by the time you come back next year? I said, not only am I going to be certified, but I'm going to speak at the next one too, girl. That's what I said. So, let's cover the speaking part first. So we did have a session called JTSS and the Salesforce Saga. So we did a speaking component. Now, the second piece of that was the get certified. And I said I would get certified with the admin exam. How many of y'all done took the admin exam? How many of y'all like the way the questions on the admin exam? Yeah, I didn't like it either. I'm gonna tell you lie. But so I took the test. What that was last week, Saturday. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I killed this. That thing got back and said fail. I said, oh. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm the type of person I like a challenge. So I'm like, I'm gonna get this thing done. I definitely can't show up to Dreamin in Color without being certified. Like it would have been one person speaking at that thing. So my session was at 3. I took the cert exam at 1:30. Hold on, y'all coming to conclusions. So I took it at 1:30, and I'm taking it. I'm going through it. Kind of remembered I have a session today, and I know it's at 3 o'clock. I'm thinking, all right, 3:30, so I got time. Needless to say, I take the cert, and I'm looking at that submit button. I'm like, man, I could drive back home if I could get my car and leave. But I hit that submit button, that thing said pass. First off, I want to thank Tiffany and the team for putting on such an amazing event because like I said, when I went to that first Dreamin in Color conference last year, I wasn't part of the Salesforce ecosystem, but because of her team and the people there, like they really inspired me to see such a connectiveness, especially with people that look like us, which is something that we don't get to see a lot, you know? So I definitely want to thank you for that. I got to thank my wife because she made sure and watch Hell's Kitchen that I had to do Salesforce before I go watch Golden Ramsey yelling at people. Gotta do that. And lastly, I want to thank my guy Ted right here. He definitely deserves a round of applause, accountability partner. And another thing, just to kind of take it a little bit step further, it was 2 things that we knew, but it was actually a 3rd thing. So on my way to my seat, my guy Ted, he never, I didn't know Ted like that. My guy said, I said, hey, have you thought about doing a podcast? I'm like, podcast? He said, podcast. I said, let's do it. So after the wonderful Sandra Keys session, Ted and I, we joined together and we now have a podcast called JTSS and the Salesforce Saga. So we're 3 people. Yeah. Now, I'm about to pass the mic because I'm not going to commit to nothing else. Let me pass the mic. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the support as well.
I feel like you might need a drink out of all of that. If you don't drink, put some apple juice in it. This is a gift set from Black Space, which is a black-owned card company. So it's a Black Space card and 2 glasses for you and a wife.